This solo build for Guild Wars 2 PvE as a conduit, so the new elite spec for Revenant with Visions of Eternity, is amazing. It's very, very strong, has amazing damage output while still being able to sustain very high damage, and has some surprisingly good boon output as well. So I hope you're intrigued by this. If you are, be sure to watch the whole video to not miss out a thing about this amazing build. I'm Simmer, and as always, special shout out to all my dear supporters that literally help me keep the lights on, and with that much said, let's jump straight into the build. Let's start with the gear. Of course, as always, this is a solo build that you should not play that in a group. If you want to play that build in a group, I would switch quite a lot of stuff around. So this is really being played as a solo build in open world, or if you want to tackle some really tough fights that are not meant to be played solo. So for example, raids, fractals, or even like open world legendary bounties or something like that. This is where this build shines. Let's start with the gear. The gear is full Celestial, sorry, it's again a Celestial build. Full Celestial, you can go even more aggressive and get even higher damage numbers if you go for full Vipers or something like that. But I think the mix between defense and offense with Celestial is just too good to pass up on open world builds. If you can afford infusions, you would go with condition damage infusions, of course, not necessary. For the rune, again, Superior Rune of the Trapper is by far the best option. If you cannot get it, Superior Rune of the Nightmare or Superior Rune of the Undead are completely fine as well. I just think this is by far the best setup. For weapons, you want to go Spear, Mace, Axe. If you don't have access to Spear, you can go for a short bow. If you don't have access to it either, you can just say, I will play with Mace, Axe in both hands. So you would put the mace here and the axe in this one, and then you can still get a weapon swap. But other than that, it does not really matter. For the weapons, I chose to go for full Vipers, but it doesn't really matter. You can go for full Celestial as well. For sigils, you would go with Superior Sigil of Strength and Frailty on both sets, so that you can upkeep your vulnerability on the boss and your might on yourself. You can min-max it a bit more, but the Frailty is very important. That is the really important one. You will see that with the traits in a second. For trinkets, again, full Celestial. And for your relic, you would go with Relic of the Pirate Queen. It's by far the best option here. Whenever you disable a foe, you get 7 seconds of quickness, which is insane. You do that all the time, so you have permanent quickness with this build easily. Really, really good relic. You have to get this one. If you don't have it, then you will drop a lot of damage, and you can go for Relic of the Fractal or even Relic of the Krite, but you will lose immense amount of damage, so keep that in mind. Let's talk about the consumables now. For the consumables, you want to go with peppered cured meat flatbreads for the incoming damage reduction and some more condition damage and expertise. If you don't have access to ascended food yet, you would go with koi cakes, almost the same amount of stats, but very, very cheap. For utility consumables, go with toxic Turing crystals, by far the best damaging option. Before I go to the traits, I want to mention, if you like this video, be sure to leave a like. If you want to see more build guides and tier lists all about Guild Wars 2, be sure to subscribe. But now, let's talk about the traits. So for the traits, you want to go with Corruption, Devastation and Conduit. Let's talk about Corruption first. It's by far the most important trait line here in terms of damage. You get just some more damage when you legend swap, you get more condition damage, and you get more condition duration, very good. You get more torment damage, very good. Most of your damage comes from torment, so really strong. Then you get more condition duration, but you will also receive longer duration conditions, so that's a okay trait to take because you actually get a lot of Condi cleanses in this build, so really, really easy to deal with that. And then, of course, Diabolic Inferno, whenever you legend swap, you get some nice damage in combat around you. Really strong. Then, Devastation is the trait line that you could swap. You could go for any other trait line if you wanted to. I just tested this, and I think this is the highest amount of damage, while you still have amazing sustain with Devastation. But you could go for Salvation, Invocation, and even Retribution. Those work perfectly fine as well. So switch to the one that you enjoy the most, but I personally would say Devastation is the one that I would recommend. Highest amount of damage with the highest amount of sustain. So how does it work? You get some vulnerability application, you get more damage, that's nice. You get even more damage, which is good because you're Celestial, so your power damage still matters. And then you take all the bottom traits which empower your attacks. Whenever you use a healing skill, you siphon some health after that. When you're in combat, you get passively some stacks that will also siphon some health, and your healing from battle scars is increased, which is the siphon attack, while you're below the health threshold, so it's really good. And applying vulnerability to foes grants stacks of battle stars as well. That's why Frailty Sigil is so good, because when you apply Frailty Sigil procs, they will give you battle scars, which will increase your damage and gives you some more healing. So that's, so to say, helping you in damage and healing output. This is the best setup if you just want to deal damage with healing. Then Conduit just gives a lot of utility. You get some more stats, that's good. you get some more boons, so you get Fury and Resistance, that's good, and some Might. And when you use a weapon skill, you get, that costs energy, you get some Affinity, which is the new resource that you would use on Conduit. It normally would be only gained when you use a Legend skill, but now you get it also from weapon skills. It's important because with this trait, you actually get some endurance and heal when you gain affinity, so that you can proc that more consistently. And when you get at the maximum amount of affinity, which is 5, you get 15 energy back. That's really cool. If you don't want that, you can also go for Boundless Knowledge to get some more boons, which you otherwise wouldn't get. That can also be valuable. But then your affinity gain and your healing and endurance and energy gain is lower. Keep that in mind, and therefore you will proc this trait way less frequently. And lastly, you have Mistfire. Very, very strong. Whenever you CC an enemy, you, on a 1-second internal cooldown, you get some additional conditions on them, which is really good because that means that you can actually not only get quickness from CC, but also get burning application. Really, really strong. And of course, you also get some more damage around it when you use Cosmic Wisdom, which is really, really potent on top of that. So let's quickly cover the skills. So for the skills, you have, of course, your Mace and your Axe. Your Mace is just a nice melee damage option. So you have an auto attack that does some damage. You have the 2 skill that does the burning field. And if you blast it with your 3 skill, you get some nice might on top of that. So always use those in conjunction. The 4 skill is a repositioning tool. You would not use it in a rotation, but you can use it to reposition. The 5 skill is some nice CC. And on Spear, you have the most important skill, which is the 5 skill that also does some damage. And it will have stacks and increases the damage, so that's really good. And all other Spear skills, we recharge the cooldown a bit. So always try to use at least once the Abyssal Race before you use any other skills. The auto attack is important for damage. It's also melee and ranged. The 2 skill is some nice burning application again. The 3 skill can be used as an evade, very good. And the 4 skill is a nice pull and some CC in general. And of course, the 5 skill is the most important damage skill, like I mentioned. For utility skills in the entity stance, you have some healing here, really good. It's a slow pulsing heal, but it's really good because it's also decreasing the damage that you take. Then Hex Eater Vortex, very important for damage, and Condi Cleanse, always use that. This one here is just a stun break, use it if necessary, and this one here is a nice boon removal, but also repositioning tool, so use that if you need it, but don't use it in the rotation. And then you have Twin Moon Sweep, which is just a very nice damage. If you can get it in melee range, really, really high damage increase. Then of course you have Release Potential, depending on what legends you are in. In Dervish, you just get some nice damage. So always activate that skill whenever you swap to a legend, because it's legend dependent, so you can get it multiple times. So really, really strong, and just increases your damage. The F3 skill is important because it also procs your Mistfire, keep that in mind. And it also gives you on Rasa, gives you an attack that does damage. And in the form of the Mesmer, so the Malek stance, you will reduce the energy cost of the next skill that you use, but it has a higher cooldown, which is really good. You can use that then on your Call to Anguish to get a nice energy reduction and get a pull, which is a CC, but also get the Unyielding Impact, which does even more damage. So really, really potent there. Other than that, again, you get a nice healing skill. That is potent, and you have a nice boon removal again. You have some stun break here, and you have a very, very important elite skill, which we will toggle directly when we get into the Malek stance, because it pulses some torment, and the pulsing torment is increased if you use the weapon skill that is not the auto attack. So always try to use a weapon spell, then use the auto attack, and then a weapon spell again, and so that means that you actually get some really nasty torment procs around you. So we are already talking a little bit about the rotation. Let's commit to it fully. So you would start the fight in Legendary Rasa stance and would engage the fight with Temporary Rift, Twin Moon Sweep into Hex Eater Vortex and into Release Potential Dervish and Echoing Eruption, and swapping legends into Malek stance and instantly activating Release Potential Mesmer into Embrace the Darkness, then using Abyssal Race into Abyssal Force and Abyssal Blood into Cosmic Wisdom, into Call to Anguish and Unyielding Impact and Abyssal Race. And after that, drain your energy until it's drained and use then Release Potential Mesmer before swapping back to Rasa stance and swapping weapons again. And then using instantly Searing Fissure into Echoing Eruption, Release Potential Dervish and Twin Moon Sweep into Hex Eater Vortex and Temporary Rift. And after that, or again, drain your energy until the Release Potential Dervish back up and swap to Maleks and repeat that loop. So very high damage output, use your healing skill as necessary, of course your stun breaks as well, and try to align your CC with the break bar so that you actually get some double value, not only in terms of quickness and damage procs, but also in terms of CCing the break bar actually. And that's how this build works. Very fun, very strong, high damaging output, currently reaches over 30k DPS if you play it correctly. Really, really good for a solo build. It might get nerfed in terms of damage numbers, but the build itself will still stay intact and exactly the same like that. Be sure to check out the pinned comment if there was a nerf to the damage, but we will have to see in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.